Gripaholic! This is Jed Johnson from DieselCrew.com. Of course, you know they call me Napalm, and I'm joined by the esteemed Alan T. Hynek, Esquire, and Professor Crowbar himself, James Retorides. Again, not totally sure when this episode will air. My laptop died recently, and I just got the new one yesterday. So we're recording it now, and it'll get up when it gets up. But I'll tell you, we got a great guest that's back with us today, Tanner Merkle, the 2019 King Kong of Grip. But before we get to Tanner, we want to remind you, we appreciate you listening to the show, so please give us a thumbs up and show your support. We welcome feedback and participation in the discussions that take place during the show, so feel free to leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll get a notification every time a new video and episode of TWIG comes out. In addition, I'm doing a 31 days of Q&A this December, so you'll definitely want to subscribe for that. And finally, please feel free to share this video and others with your friends who train grip. That's the best way to spread the word, the gospel, the grip gospel about our sport. And remember, the first rule of grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport. Like I said, today we've got Tanner Merkle coming back with us. Tanner, on top of being the 2019 King Kong of Grip, did competitive rock climbing as a kid, and then well into his early adulthood. He was on the rock faces for 13 years. Recently, he switched his focus to grip, and he works the graveyard shift as a respiratory therapist at a hospital, which is cool because it allows me to have Instagram conversations with him at like 4:30 in the morning. So as I'm brewing my coffee every single day, I can log in and talk to Tanner. So that is awesome. Tanner, welcome to the show, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Good to talk to you fellas again.
Absolutely, for sure. We been looking forward to getting you on here. The King Kong series, I mean, we covered King Kong like in 14 shows this year, brother. So we saved the best for last, my man. Tanner, what's your catalog of competitions in 2019? What all were the comps that you hit?
I was trying to think about that. We had a few local competitions. I think we probably had about 4 or 5 this year. Mm-hmm. And then, let's see, I did King Kong, and I did Aaron's competition out in Arizona. And let's see, what else other than that? I think that might be it. I think the bulk of it was the stuff that we were running out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area out in Texas.
And then who ran all those comps? Was Eric Milfeld? Who else?
Clay ran one of them.
Clay ran one,
and then mostly like a Adam and Eric kind of thing. Adam ran most of it, but, Eric's been involved in grip forever. So, he's got a lot of experience, and so he would help with judging and running numbers and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Eric's been doing it longer than I have. He actually used to do online competitions on the grip board back in the day. I don't know if you knew that. He used to call them the Grip Bash.
Yeah, it's funny because, he's so modest. He won't, come out and say it, but I believe, I think he was the first person to certify on the red nail, with the, official Iron Mind pads and everything, because I remember he'd certified using, a towel or something like that, back, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Our whole group down there, we've got me, Eric, he's super strong powerlifting also. Adam's obviously a grip freak. Robert Najedli's a boss at bending. And you got Tommy, who's super strong arm wrestler and bender. So you kind of pick from a lot of different specialties there.
You guys got a great group out there. It's always so cool to see what you guys are up to, and a diverse group of guys too. It's,
Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan too is obviously a monster. I haven't seen much from Morgan lately, actually.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's so odd. I mean, I'll text him from time to time, and he's still training. He's always keen to come out, but he just doesn't make it out to our practices as much anymore. I know he recently attempted a 3.5 cert, and I guess he got like the world's hardest 3.5. He went out to Tommy's place to try to certify, and I think they're estimating that gripper to be in the maybe low 190s or something, because Tommy's got a 3.5 that rates I think like 185, and Morgan like no-setted it, no problem. And
jeez.
But he missed his cert gripper, which is a big bummer. But he's a freak. I mean, he closed MMA. It's just a matter of time for him. But it might have just been the issue of a warm up. Like sometimes if you're not properly warm, you'll just bounce off a gripper. And then once you get warm and things are feeling okay, it's like a whole different ball game. I'm not sure. I wasn't there to see it, but yeah, he's still training.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's cool because I was gonna say you just didn't see much from him. You saw a lot from him for a while, and I mean he came up on this show a lot, and then it was all of a sudden like where'd he go kind of thing. So
yeah, he's been busy too. I mean he's got like a doctorate in mathematics. He teaches math at the college, and I think he just bought a house. He's just got a lot on his plate.
Oh wow, that's interesting. One of the guys that trained with us, Anthony Vasaturo, is also a doctorate in mathematics, who is a math professor. Yeah, we should get those guys together, do some grip, do some equations.
That would suck. That sounds like a hell of a lot of work.
Help me program my inch training,
All I really get there is just using a protractor to measure my bends. That's about as much math as I can do.
Exactly. So what has been your focus after King Kong? What is it that you're going after next?
Well, I didn't post much about this, but I partially tore a collateral ligament in my finger during the shallow hub. Right, during the competition. Yeah, and so when I was climbing a lot, all of your ligaments are very conditioned and in that kind of closed crimp position. I never felt any kind of danger. But now that I'm not climbing as much, that particular movement has kind of been deconditioned. So I think I was more prone to hurting myself. And, with the shallow hub, I didn't notice a lot of benefit from doing high volume with it. So when I would train, I mean, I was doing a whole bunch of 1 rep max type of stuff. And so maybe I didn't get whatever the situation was. It was also cold. We were outside. But I felt on my last attempt, I felt like a little bit of like a pop. And I was still able to push through and do little bighorn because it's a totally different kind of grip. It didn't bother me. But in the days after King Kong, it just felt a little wrong. When something like that just kind of feels off. And I mean, it's been a while now. It's been over a month, and I actually kind of haven't been able to train. I went over to Adams once, and we had one training day. But outside of that, I've trained twice, but since King Kong, I think I've trained twice just because of this injury. So really, I've kind of got my eyes on healing up right now.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
That's that stupid shallow hub, the dumb hub, Jed.
Yeah, man.
The dumb hub. Strikes again.
Yeah.
You must be able to do a lot of stub training at least.
Oh, yeah, that's been great. Yeah, my stub's through the roof right now.
That's strong as hell right now. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Tanner's doing pull-ups off of stubs. He's doing pull-ups off of stubs now. Yeah.
But seriously, that sucks about your finger, man, because that shit takes forever. I've goofed up one of my fingers screwing around on a hub one time, and I was like my middle finger. That took forever. I bet you 6 months before it was normal again.
That's not bad.
I mean, long road.
The worst I had was when I was climbing. I was in that closed crimp position. I completely blew my A2 pulley off on my left ring finger. I still don't have an A2 pulley on my left ring finger. I remember a little while back I was talking to Jed about that too, and he had his hub injury or his finger injury with the hub. It's just, you just got to be careful with that kind of stuff. It just comes out of nowhere, though. I mean, I kind of thought I was being careful. It's like it goes from no pain to then tons of pain, and you're screwed up for a long time. Mine took a year. So I think this one's it's not as bad, and I have full range of motion, and I can still train if I warm up right. So I think in another month I'll probably be 100%. It's not a real bad one.
Hopefully, man.
And it's on one hand too, so it's not like you can't train the other hand kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
So there's that. But yeah, I did the same thing with the stirrup one year, and I actually did it the day that I got it. I'm training in my garage. I'm training in my garage, and our mail person pulls up, and I'm like, oh, cool. I see a box. I think that's the stirrup I ordered. So I get that. I take it out of the box. I start loading it up, and at the time I was loading up like a deep dish plate with a pipe through it to do rim lifting. And so I start loading up the stirrup, and I'm pulling some decent weight on it. And then I get up to I think it was just north of 200 pounds. And all of a sudden I feel something pop on the side of my index finger. And I was screwed for like 7 months.
Yeah. It sucks. But it is remarkable about how they come back, though, because I bet you're still able to train now. It doesn't bother you probably much now at all.
Nope. No. It's like it hasn't even been remotely an issue ever since I let it heal. But it took a while.
Yeah. It feels so debilitating. Time. Yeah. And when it does come back, I mean, it's encouraging because, I was talking to Chez about that, too, because he had his two. He blew up both his A2 pulleys on, both hands. So, and that's what I was telling him, too. I was like, you know what, it's terrible now, but you're going to come back stronger than ever. Everyone does. It's kind of a frustrating injury, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. So right now, is there something else that you can focus on training-wise? Or are you just sort of chilling? And
No, I'm not really just chilling. So, I've been a little bit frustrated, with some of the competitions I've gone to that have had the axle in it, just because it's just not a grip event for me. It's just a max deadlift every time. So I keep hurting my back, and that just continues to be a severe weak spot for me. So I've pulled back on the weight a ton, and I'm focusing more on squats and some lightweight deadlifts. So really, for the first time, I'm focusing on actually training barbell training, just because I don't want to do another competition that has the axle in it until I'm well over 400 pounds. Because there's no reason I shouldn't be able to pull. Personally, I think I could pull 200 kilos on an axle. I think that's a goal for the next couple of years. And it's just getting my body strong enough to deadlift 200 kilos without it just destroying me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Your grip's got to about be there now.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah. Has the pulley injury prevented you from doing any arm wrestling?
No. I haven't been doing just a ton of arm wrestling training. I'd like to, and I totally could. I think that would be beneficial for me, just get some more wrist involvement. I've got a theory that everyone calls me crazy for. And, I talked to Michael Hain about it. He's a big arm wrestler down here. I've talked to Tommy about it, Eric about it. Most everyone thinks I'm crazy. But if you look at all the strongest arm wrestlers, they're all really good at pinch and two-hand pinch.
Yes. I don't know why they would say that you were crazy. I've been saying that for years. That having a strong thumb and a thick hand around where your thumb is, if that is thick, it makes it harder for the other person to grip, and the strength in your thumb is going to help you when you're pronating, specifically in the straps, because you can drive your thumb down. It's like the way that I pinch, I turn my thumb sideways, and I didn't always do that. When I started out, I wasn't doing that. And then Bob Sundin was actually the one that was like, yeah, turn your thumb this way, and I started doing that. And then what I noticed was, it just made my thumb so much stronger than it ever was. So when I've talked to the guys that ask me about training, grip training for arm wrestling, I always say thumbless thick bar, and pinch. And not just wide pinch either. Do some plate pinching, and because a lot of these guys they'll get block weights or something. I'm like, well, that's fine, but do some plate pinching. It's fun. You know what I mean? I love
the flask, right, James?
Yeah, it is.
No,
fun.
not the flask.
Well,
we don't
I guess
we don't pump aluminum.
I'm kind of thinking about it from the other side too, of using not just like max effort arm wrestling, but just like some light, not like ready go kind of thing, but just having some maybe like just 70% effort pulls on the table, just to get that wrist flexion involved, because I think the wrist flexion also helps a fair amount in plate pinching and just kind of the narrower pinch in general. So I've been considering kind of starting to use that more, but I guess that's the aspect that everyone kind of thinks, really, like, you're just going to get injured arm wrestling. I don't think arm wrestling is going to help your pinch that much. But it was just sort of a little theory I had, but, I could be totally, off base.
You're not. And these guys that are telling you that you're crazy, and I know these guys, they're arm wrestlers. Like, it drives me nuts. Because, look, we have never had one person get injured training with us. And one of the reasons why is because, it wasn't like one of these arm wrestling practices where you just show up and play king of the table for 3 hours. It was like, let's work on different positions and not just that, go through the motions several times. Like work on the muscle memory and the technique, and then gradually kind of increase resistance to it. So that when you get into a match with somebody at a tournament, just going into whatever technique you want to execute just feels natural. It feels easy.
Right.
I don't know. To me, nothing that you've said so far, arm wrestling wise, is crazy. So you tell your guys out there in Texas they're wrong, and I said so.
Well, I'd like to go to more of the practices too. It's just that arm wrestling practice for most of the local guys, there's a couple practices, but the main one is on Saturday, and then we do grip practice on Sunday. So it's like that's setting up for a pretty terrible yeah.
Tommy just doesn't want you to beat him at arm wrestling too.
Oh, Tommy's got a really strong right hand too. He doesn't really pull much left, but yeah, his right is strong.
I had to in case he was listening at some point.
For the life of me, I can't remember when I went out there and Danny Gillian had a practice at his place, and Tanner showed up, and that was where Tanner did his engine chug lift actually.
Yeah, right.
And Tommy was there. I came with Robert and Jedley, and and Michael was there as well. So I remember arm wrestling with Michael. I don't remember gripping up with Tommy. And I can't remember if you and I gripped up, did we?
No, I didn't do much pulling that day. I think I was just kind of hanging out. Tommy might not have actually pulled that much either.
I don't think so, because you guys were bending horseshoes and stuff. I remember that. And then
I think I was preoccupied with all the grip things around me as well.
Yeah, and I was arm wrestling with Brian and Robbie and stuff. So
how could that not have happened? I'd have had to try arm wrestling Tommy.
Danny Gillian's practice was last night, and Jerry Catterett actually came in town for that.
Oh, wow.
That would have been a fun one to see.
Were you there? Or?
No, I didn't go last night.
No.
It would have been cool, though, to see, to see Robbie grip up with Jerry, just kind of see, just messing around, but I bet that was a fun practice.
It's not, and this is not a knock on Robbie, because I felt Robbie's very strong. But that is not a good matchup for Robbie, the way that he top rolls.
That's true, because Jerry's all just that tricep press and just flop rip.
Oh, and it's like it's funny because I've been known as a strap puller, and I've pulled Jerry pretty well out of the straps, but once I've gotten into the straps with him, he feels like an oak tree falling on you. So it's like,
oh boy.
Yeah, it's substantial. But no, and then again, that's not a knock on Robbie at all. He's I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's probably the strongest guy in Texas, him or Brian, right?
Yeah, for sure. And he's getting even stronger. I mean, he's an absolute tank now. He's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. So where's your weight, by the way? Where are you weighing these days?
Today I was 200 pounds. So
okay.
It's kind of funny because it's all on accident. Because when I started grip, I weighed less than the inch dumbbell. I went out to Adam Ergang's and I lifted the inch my first tryout there at arm wrestling practice. So I got into arm wrestling first, and I was like 171 or 170 that day. And then for the Arnold last year, the lowest weight class was like, you had to be under 224 or over 224 or something like that, 220, whatever it was. And so I was like, dang, I'm setting up to be the youngest guy there and the lightest by like 50 pounds. So I'm like, all right, I better just try to at least put on some weight. I don't care if I just get fat. So I was just, whatever I normally ate, I would just double it. And then so I gained all this weight for the Arnold. It didn't end up helping me any. And I just got fat, and now I can't lose it. So since last May, I've been trying to like lose this weight, and it's just not happening. So I'm just kind of rolling with it now.
Yeah. Hey, I remember a while back you posting, I want to say it was a video of your brother lifting the inch dumbbell. Am I wrong, or did that happen?
Yeah, he lifted the inch. It was like no training at all. Just came over and picked it up.
Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to hang up.
And I have kind of the excuse of like, okay, well, I did grip training, and I did a lot of climbing training, so that gets me there. But my brother's not a climber. He's not an athlete. At the time, he was a Spanish teacher. So it's like there's no reason for him to have extraordinarily strong hands, but he does have really big hands, though. He's got like Jed-sized hands, so maybe.
Yeah, well, that helps. I love that. It's well, you used to go to like the Arnold, and they'd have the inch dumbbell sitting out at the Sorinex thing, and all these big guys would walk over and try to pick it up, and Tanner walks up with his brother, and he's like, "Oh, this is my brother. He doesn't train or anything, but he can roll his R's real well. He's an excellent Spanish teacher. He just picks the thing up. That's great. That's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. We're about the same weight, and he's like 6'9" or something like that.
Holy crap!
What? My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, what you guys don't realize is Tanner's dad is about that tall too. He's a freaking giant.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He did King Kong too.
How did he make out?
Oh, he did. I mean, he didn't do well. He had never tried any of the implements, and he just wanted to come watch me compete. And then he showed up with his friends, and I was like, "So are you going to do the competition?" And he's like, "Well, what is it?" I told him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess." So I mean, he didn't like warm up or anything. He just like took all the opening weights and was just like, "Okay." So I mean, I think he was well in the bottom half, but he had a lot of fun. We all had fun
pretty cool.
at that venue. I mean, it was.
Did he do any?
Rowdy.
Did he do any? Oh, that's cool. So, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, just because, I've been trying to do this with, the 135 baby inch, and I find it to be, ridiculous. You're passing the inch dumbbell from hand to hand.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a question, but I figured I would just say it again because I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. You're passing the inch dumbbell from hand to hand. See, I just said it a second time, and it still is amazing.
Well, the way that all kind of started was a little while back. Tommy proposed this preposterous idea that we all thought he was insane. He said, Adam should pick up the inch and then throw it to me, and we all thought that was impossible. And then we kind of started trying it, and then next thing you know, we did it. And so then Adam had mentioned that, to his knowledge, Jed, you might be able to correct me on this one or give some clarification, but no one had gone from hand to hand and then back to the other hand. Am I right about that, or have you or Andrew done that?
No, it's totally true. In fact, I've tried for years to do it, and I constantly miss, and I thought that I was going to be the first one to do it, and then you did it. So, nope, you are 100% correct, buddy.
Wow.
The funny thing was, I'd tried it once before, and then so after King Kong, the drinks were flowing, we were all having a good time, and
the drinks were flowing.
So they most definitely were, and I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. None of the cameras were on. I picked it up and I passed it 6 times or something, and no one filmed it. So I was like, dang. I was like, all right, I'll try it again. So then we got the camera on, and I did it again. And since then, I've done it a couple more times, but I've never done it as good as that time that we didn't get it on film.
But 6 is your record.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I controlled the 6. To be honest with you, I really don't know.
Okay.
I think
I remember.
I think I did 5 on the video.
Wow, well, that's amazing, though. You know, I mean, I was at Sorenex one year, and Tex Henderson and Andrew Derniet were throwing it from hand to hand, but, like, you know, it was like barely kind of controlling it and stopping it before it got to the floor kind of thing, you know.
Right.
And I know Andrew had said that he hadn't really been training grip as much at the time, you know, which, of course, he can still pick up the inch and throw it to the other hand. I mean, why wouldn't he be able to? You know?
Yeah, complete monster.
So, yeah. I'm only talking like this because my own inch training has been frustrating lately. So, what I did was I went back and I listened to our goals episode from last year, and you know, I was listening to the part where I was talking about the inch, and I'm sitting there training the other day, listening to it, seething, because, you know, I'm still not there, and it's like I really wanted to get it this year. So when I hear about, you know, your Spanish teacher brother just picking it up, it's not that I'm envious. It's not an envious thing. You know. It's wanting to jump out of a plate glass window onto my head thing. So.
Have you tried like putting magnets on like your the back of your hand side? Yeah. Do you find that that's helpful for training, or?
It is. I find that, you know, I mean, it's been a while. I mean, it's been about 3 months. I've been able to reduce about 7 pounds on that side, a little bit less than 7 pounds on that side, which means that I'm probably another 3 to 4 months away from a lift if things go according to plan based on, you know, the holds that I'm doing. So, but yeah, I mean, it's still going to be, it's not going to be by the end of December, which is what I wanted. And in the goals video, I said I was going to do it by last spring. So then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, oh, God, you're awful. How did you make such a prediction? You know, and
I mean, sometimes that's just like overtraining, you know.
Yeah, that, you know, it could be that too. You know, I let Alan
take,
down.
you know, like a solid week and a half off.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I have had that before where I've taken some time off, like the event that we had back in September. I took some time off from thick bar and then went back to it. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to just sort of ride the wave on this deload thing, and then, you know, maybe take some time off and, you know, try some grease the groove training. I don't know. I mean, you know, the one thing I got going for me is I got Bob to train with. And, you know, Bob's hand size is only a little bit bigger than mine. His are about 7.5 inches. And, you know, on a good day, Bob can still go out and lift it. So yeah.
Better in the rain, too, right?
What's that?
Bob lifts it better in the rain, huh?
Yeah. There's been days where he's lifted it in just about any kind of conditions. But yeah, Bob, he's the only one of us that's, like, unaffected by the rain. It's raining back there. I just feel miserable and damp and soaked. And it'll be like 50 degrees, and he'll be out there in a tank top or something, you know, just training. Like the weather around him is not going on. So,
yeah. Well, you got a good squad around you. I'm sure you'll get that lift. I feel like it helps to have people that are motivated to train with.
Definitely. And those guys are all supportive. We're all supportive of each other. And that's why I think what you guys got going on in Texas is great. I'm sure you guys each give each other a bump when it comes to, you know, what you guys are capable of. And plus, you know, I mean, I've watched you guys, you know, specifically like Adam and Robert, and I've had extensive conversations with Robert about bending and stuff. I mean, you all have such an unbelievable understanding of training and the diversity in terms of your backgrounds of training. It must be really great to just sort of, you know, just sort of riff and take stuff from each other, you know.
Yeah, it totally is. It's been a little over a year now, or just about a year that we've been training together, and I think all of us have benefited like greatly from just picking from, you know, someone else's specialty and just the whole like group dynamic. It's definitely a lot of fun. We were supposed to train today, actually. We train every Sunday, but Adam is driving back from San Antonio, so he's not able to make it.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty cool. So are you in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm in outside of Dallas? Like Dallas proper. Like if you like the big Dallas skyline and everything, like right in downtown. If you drive maybe like 10 minutes north, I'm just outside like the heart of the city, so to say. And Adam and all those guys are more in like the Fort Worth area. So that's like maybe 40 minutes west. So it's a bit of a drive, but I mean, you know, I've got a Honda Civic, just put on an audiobook, and next thing you know, I'm there.
There you go.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it sounds like it's worth it. So I was reading this thing about you and climbing. You entered a 24-hour and won a 24-hour climbing competition?
Yeah. So it's a competition called the 24 Hours of Horseshoe Hell. And me and my friend have been trying to – he'd done it 4 times, and this was my 3rd year, the year that we won. I think that was 2014, something like that.
I think it was. I know it said it was 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or no, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. was it?
Yeah. So you start on 10 a.m. on Friday, and then you climb all through the day. It's a really beautiful area out in Arkansas. It's this big canyon shaped like a horseshoe, and it's huge. It's a big valley, huge cliffs all along the perimeter, and it's like a big party. People call it like the Burning Man of rock climbing. I mean, people dress up in crazy costumes. There's like a beer sponsor. There's all these outdoor sponsors. There's lots of free stuff. It's crazy.
Free beer.
And, I mean,
you know?
Yeah. People dress
get liquored up and climb giant rock walls.
Yeah, you pretty much like, you know, no one really admits to it, but everyone is. And you know, then by the middle of the night, you can't see the wall. You've got a headlamp on, but all you can see is that little bubble right in front of your face. And you know, people are singing, you know, Disney tunes all across the canyon, and people are doing crazy stuff. And you know, there's some of the people that are just drinking and having fun, and then there's us who are trying really hard to actually win the deal. So, you know, whoever does the most climbs wins, or whoever really each climb, depending on how hard it is, gets a different amount of points. So you want to get the most point total at the end. And so the funny thing was, there's a company called Petzl. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make a lot of outdoor gear, like harnesses and helmets and stuff like that. And so Petzl had some of their team, some of their sponsored athletes from Canada. They sponsored them to come fly down to Arkansas, and they were going to film like a short video and kind of document their competition, because they were just supposed to win it. They're like semi-professional rock climbers. And then a bunch of jackasses from Dallas show up and win the thing, which was so funny, because like no one's ever won this competition dressed up before. Everyone that wins it is always wearing, you know, sports gear. They're real serious about it.
Yeah.
And me and my buddy.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Me and my buddy went to PacSun at the mall, and we got these female leotards that said "Slay" across the front. They're somewhere on Facebook if anyone wants to dig, but they're all black and in white block letters across the front and "Slay." And we wore these little gold booty shorts, and we went out and won the competition looking like idiots. So
that's awesome.
It was pretty fun.
It's kind of the equivalent of like when you go to like a marathon and you see like, you know, you have like 9 dudes from Kenya there, you know, that are obviously going to be in the front, you know, and then you have like, you know, someone dressed as Peter Pan, you know.
Right. That's exactly
it would be like the guy dressed as Peter Pan won the marathon.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
And I was so glad that we don't have to do that again. Like, when we were done, we each had, like, a deep satisfaction, thinking, like, thank God we don't have, because we trained so hard. Like, thank God we don't have to do this, like, ever again. Like, very done. I mean, your hands are sore for days. Like, you can't open car doors. You couldn't hold an apple to eat it. You can't do anything. It's, like, the worst pain ever. Think, like, flask tears, like, times 100.
Oh, man. Well, that's the one thing I will say about the flask, is it never tears me. It's the
isn't that like we'd have to get like either Vasaturo or Morgan on, but isn't that like an undefined number, like 0 times 100? Because you don't tear your thumbs on the flask, do you? I was told that was impossible. Like nobody tears their thumbs on the flask.
I've got kind of a theory about that.
Let's hear it.
If you look at people that tear on the flask, if you were to make your thumb and forefinger like in the L shape, if you have a little bit of like webbing, like when you pull on your thumb webbing right there, and there's like some slack, like just extra skin that you can kind of pull out a little bit, it seems like people who have that spot seem to tear on the flask. Whereas if you make that L and it's just like a thick pad of like meat and there's not a lot of excess stretchy skin, people that have that don't seem to tear. Like for example, Tommy, when he makes that L and pulls on his thumb webbing, there's like nothing at all. There's no webbing for him to even grab. His skin's completely taut. And Tommy's never torn on the flask.
So you mean there's like 5 people on the planet that won't get a tear then?
What's that?
I think the people that don't tear on the flask don't train on the flask. I think that's the main difference.
I will say that I only trained on it briefly, very briefly, because I just wanted to get a 100-pound lift on it and then never touch it again. So, literally I did it at Bob's house, and Bob said, all right, now take it to the recycling bin. So, because that's what we do with aluminum around here. That was how the conversation went. So,
and I mean, seasoning that thing is it's not that I've got like anything against the flask. I mean, I'm not very good at it, but it's one of those lifts that if I spend a lot of time like chalking it and really, really get a good texture on it, I mean, my lifts are dramatically different than if I just go into the garage and just take it as is and slap it on the loading pin and go. So that's a little bit frustrating for me as far as like tracking numbers and tracking progress, is because I almost have to like make a little asterisk like in a notebook, and say, okay, well this time I chalked it really well or this time I didn't. And that just makes it a little bit difficult to track how well I'm actually doing.
Sure.
See, that I figured out what I do wrong with it. I don't continue to chalk it until it has good texture. Like I would chalk it, and then I'd be like, I hate this thing. What the hell's wrong with it? And I'd be like, oh, I know there's chalk on it. So I just wipe the chalk off of it and then train. So,
yeah.
I just didn't have the patience to deal with the flask.
For the training aspect of it, I mean, that's definitely the right way to do it. But, with King Kong around the corner and me kind of looking at how my numbers were going to play out, I'm like, I might have a good chance of placing well, so I want to do everything I can, which just involved me like maniacally chalking all the implements. I actually chalked the flask so hard with like my palm that I got a huge blister on my palm, like a bad blister, and now I have calluses on my palms from where I chalk implements.
That's dedication.
Well, it sounds like you might chalk somewhat similarly to how Jesse Pinnanen chalks, because we for the Arnold, I brought a whole pile of legacy blobs with me because those guys were going to take them home.
Yeah,
and as it worked out, we ended up shipping them to them, if I remember correctly. So, but we did lift some of them. We trained on them down in the basement after the Arnold was all over. And Jesse would take like the thumb pad, his thumb pad, and rub that, like put chalk on it and then rub that against the blob. And like I could imagine that skin becoming so hot and irritated from that. I mean, it was tremendous pressure that he was putting on there. So
yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, sounds like you guys do pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't ever seen that before, and I haven't tried it because my skin gets too irritated, man. Like everybody in my family has like eczema or psoriasis or something like that. So like I don't do that kind of stuff if I can avoid it, Like I'm already walking a thin line doing grip training and using all this chalk. So
I gotcha.
Hey, I want to get back to King Kong, Tanner, but before we get too far away from climbing, my family, we're Verizon people, so we got Disney Plus for free for a year. And any of you guys get Disney Plus?
No.
My wife's been watching some of the stuff on it, yeah.
So we went through and, just log in, kind of start cycling down through all the movies and stuff, because I figured, like, Little Mermaid, Snow White. I mean, I watch those movies every week anyway. Like, why am I going to watch those again on Disney Plus? But then you guys aren't going to jump on me for that.
What if your daughter wants to watch them too?
Yeah.
I was waiting to pounce, Chad. I was really waiting to pounce.
Yeah, I was formulating a joke.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I saw the movie Free Solo on there. Like, if
very cool.
James and Alan, are you aware of this movie? Free Solo.
I know of its existence. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Is that a little kid movie too?
No, it's not. It's about. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. Alex, help me out, Tanner. Alex what?
It's Alex Honnold.
Alex Honnold. So, Alan, he's free soloing is like scaling these giant rock faces and mountains with no ropes, no harnesses, no nothing. You're just using your body strength.
Oh, that's not where I was heading with this at all. Okay, I thought this was like some Star Wars thing you were talking about, like a Han Solo thing or something. I'm all screwed up.
Yeah.
Well, then,
him and Chewbacca get captured.
No, you keep
to
going.
Climb a rock to save him.
Messed up. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea.
So
okay. All right.
this friggin' psycho through the process of this movie ends up climbing this mountain called El Capitan with no ropes, no harnesses, no nets, no parachute, no hot air balloon, no suspension cables. Have you done that kind of shit, Tanner? Like, are you into that kind of risk-taking shit?
Definitely not. I mean, like, I would say when you're at a certain point, a death fall is a death fall. If you fall from, let's say, it's 100 feet, you're equally as dead as if you fall off of El Capitan. So, I mean, I've done climbs that if you're getting kind of technical, they're called boulder problems. So you have like a dense cell foam pad that ideally someone's spotting you and they push you onto. If you fall, you don't have a rope on. You're just climbing a boulder. Mm-hmm. And if you fall, your friend kind of pushes you onto this pad. And if you get into what's called a highball, which is a pretty tall boulder problem, it doesn't even matter if there's a pad under you. You're going to fall and you're going to probably break something. So, I mean, I've definitely done some boulder problems and been in some situations that it's very safe for me, and I didn't feel in danger. But if I fell, I probably would have died. But it's almost like, how worried are you when you climb into your attic that you're going to fall off those steps and go crashing down and break your neck? It's like you're just not, So it's like it's in that realm of comfort for me. So it's like, I've done stuff like that, but not climbing mountains. It's like it's mostly just highball boulder problems that ended up being pretty tall.
Mm.
Well, this is for another show, but how I developed my fear of heights, which I currently have, that I'm still trying to overcome, had to do with me trying to climb a cliff with a friend when I was in my early 20s, and it's for another show. We'll just put it that way.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yep. It's absolutely was the most idiotic thing I've ever done, and I've done a lot of idiotic things. I question my own intelligence on a daily basis. Yeah, it got scary real quick. You know what I mean? Like,
were you wearing gold shorts and like a black leotard, James?
No, but if you're gonna go, that's how you do it, Alan. That's
what I've been trying to tell people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't want my corpse to be identified wearing that kind of stuff. I'll tell you that.
Well, I figure I wouldn't really care at that point,
That's like James. That's like James Carradine, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, he went. How did he go again? Well, I forgot what that was.
He was doing autoerotic asphyxiation in his closet, hanging himself from a belt or something like that.
Yeah. Tanner, have you ever done it? No, I'm kidding.
You go there at all, Tanner? Any belt hanging?
It's like a little bit of an off-the-wall.
Demonetized.
Yeah.
Wow, good point, Alan.
Oh man, yeah. So anyway, when you were leading up to King Kong, did you have a good idea that you were gonna win this year, Tanner? Because I know, sometimes you're the favorite for something from other people. Like they'll be like, oh, this person's the favorite. And yet, you can be sitting there thinking to yourself, I don't know about that,
None of us picked you, Taylor.
It was kind of funny because I actually watched Jed's 31 Days of Q&A video about sandbagging, and I was kind of thinking about that myself because I totally wasn't sandbagging coming into this. And actually, King Kong played out completely differently than I would have thought. So, I mean, I remember listening to y'all's show, and I think it was Jed mentioned, Tanner's going to pull like 250 on the crusher because I'd posted a video of me lifting like 222 for like, I don't know, 3 or 5 reps. I mean, I at home, I was repping 220 like very easily. Like, I thought I was probably going to pull, my guess was that I was going to pull about 240 at the competition on the crusher. So I was like, okay, I'll probably – Lane said he was going to compete, but I totally didn't think Lane was actually going to do it. So I was like, all right, Lane says he's going to, but Lane's not going to compete. Carl is, I didn't know. And then I found out Carl wasn't going to compete. So I was like, okay, I bet I'm going to win that event. So I felt pretty good about that. And then last year I pulled 105 on the flask. And my training was not going great. The weekend before King Kong, I pulled 106, about 7 inches off the ground. And so I figured my numbers would be about 105 on that as well. I figured I wasn't going to improve any. And then on the shallow hub, the most I'd ever pulled was 71 pounds. And because I'm using the claw grip, I couldn't do that doorknob thing at all. So with the claw grip, I was pulling about 71. So I figured that would just keep me relatively competitive. And then Little Bighorn, I'm hesitant to even, say this because I don't want this to turn into, how we had Crusher Gate 2018. I don't want this to turn into Little Bighorn Gate 2019. But I had not been pulling well on that. I really hadn't. And it's like everyone said, that was it was very inconsistent. Some days I would go down and, I think the best I'd pulled was 230. And then other days I'd go down and 220 felt stuck to the ground, and even 210 sometimes felt stuck to the ground. And then so I really didn't. I thought I was going to. My goal was always top 10. I thought I was going to be top 10. And me and Adam were trying to figure out how exactly we were going to run the venue because weather can be a big factor if it's raining or humid. So come to find out, it was a cold day in Texas, and it was a dry day in Texas, and whatever the dew point, I don't know what it was, but it was, for the way that my hands are, cold and dry is prime. That's the best. So my hand was absolutely glued to the Little Bighorn. I've never felt the Little Bighorn like that ever. There's video on my Instagram of me pulling 260 after the competition, and 260 was easy. I never had a lift feel difficult on Little Bighorn, so I think I probably could have pulled 275 maybe. Maybe that would have been my upper limit that day. But, I always train in my garage, and it's always hot here. So maybe I've just never been in a situation when things felt right. But, whatever it was, I felt amazing that day. So, no, to answer your question, I did not think that I was going to win. And in fact, on the crusher, I pulled 220, and it was really hard for me. And I thought about just going 225 or something. And then everyone's like, just go 230. You kill 230 all the time. Just jump to 230. So I jumped to 230, and I pulled it within, half a centimeter to the crossbar and dropped it. And I looked at Eric, and I was like, because Eric was judging, and I'm like, was it good? Was it good? Did it touch? And he's like, dude, it didn't touch. And I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to take another attempt. I've got that brief rest time where I could try again. And I was like, nope, I'm going to rest. I'm going to just take my time, reset. And so that's what I did. I didn't even take another attempt within that, minute or whatever it was. I just went ahead, just forego that, waited a little bit longer, a few minutes more, tried again, same scenario. So I whiffed it on all my other attempts. I only got my first lift of 220. That's what I opened at. And I have no idea what happened. It could have been because that's a left-hand event for me, and so is the flask. And I pulled about 114 or 115 on the flask, which was like a massive PR. We ended up using William Gibson's flask, so that was a little bit better than mine, actually, despite my best efforts at shocking it till I got a blister. So maybe it's because I pulled really well on the flask with my left hand. Maybe I just got gassed or something, but that's very unusual for me. Usually I'm really good in competition. I do way better in competition than I do in training. And so, I was happy that I did well on the flask. That put my numbers way higher, 10-pound PR in contests. So that was good, but I guess that just drained me. And the crusher I was so bummed about, but I guess it worked out that 220 didn't just sink me. So yeah, I mean, it was a really good showing. I was really happy with the way it turned out.
That's good.
Cool.
So when did you have an idea? Did you have to wait till the results came out, or were you pretty sure you had?
I was sure that I was done. I mean, like, I thought that 220 on the crusher was terrible. I was like, everyone's going to beat that, and and that's going to sink me. And then I knew that 73. I ended up getting 73, which is a 2-pound PR on the shallow hub. And I mean, I didn't realize how strong everyone was on that. I thought I did pretty good. And then I pulled really well on the little bighorn, and so did everyone else, though. But that ended up being good enough for the top place. And when the contest was over, I was kind of, I had a pretty good feeling I was top 3. My 115 flask I knew was a lot better than I was expecting. I didn't think a lot of people would beat that. I knew that Yesay, Jed, and some other big pinchers out there would do better, but it's not like I'm going to get beat by 10 or 15, 20 guys. So I had a pretty good feeling about it, but yeah, I had to wait for the results to come out to know, like, for sure, obviously.
Yeah. So were you pumped?
Oh yeah, man. After that, and with the little bighorn lift, I was really more happy with that when the contest was done. I was like, wow, that was. 260 was. I haven't even touched that event since. I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever even pull on that until just the next contest, because I don't want to be sad, because I bet 220 will feel difficult again. It was such a freak thing. So yeah, I was really excited about that. It was just with the finger injury that was kind of took it down a little bit, but I didn't even care.
Yeah.
I would have injured my finger again.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So you I know this isn't really King Kong related, but I always wonder this, because I see guys like you, and then I see guys like Yves Gravel, what he's able to do. I wonder, like, what is the missing component you think that a lot of guys that do grip aren't getting that maybe climbers are?
So to kind of take a step back, there's a lot of guys that have got into grip that did climbing before. And climbing definitely helps, but me and Eve are the first ones to get into to get into grip that were really competitive in climbing. And we're doing, Eve is like a professional rock climber, he has like sponsors and stuff. And when I was in my prime, I did well in competitions. I've done some pretty difficult boulder problems. So it's like, as far as like kind of, I wouldn't say like elite, but at the time I was doing pretty well, and Eve is definitely elite. So it's like us two are the only ones that have really kind of come out and started trying grip. I think that if you were to see more guys come out and try it, you'd see people that are doing better than I have, doing better than Eve has. Maybe not for the body weight and the way that Eve's hands are. He might be the strongest of all time for his size. No one will probably ever beat him. But as far as like you look at my size and other climbers like me, I think there's going to be people that surpass what I've done climbers as far as like climbers coming into the sport. So what I think that gripsters could benefit from doing climbing, maybe one aspect that you see, we were kind of alluding to this earlier, is the supporting type lifts, like fingertip lifts. I guess what you'd call it in grip would be a rim lift. Like something like that, like the stirrup, the tips tester. In grip, you don't really ever see those type of events in big contests. For that style, we'll do something like the Crusher, or a Napalm's Nightmare, or a Rolling Thunder, or something like that, and that has a lot of thumb involvement too. So I remember when I got into the sport, that was something I was kind of irritated with. Irritated is not the right word, but we try to use all different types of grip in a contest to show who has the strongest hands. So you've got key pinch, narrow pinch, wide pinch, thick bar, And a huge component is also fingertip lifts. I mean, just if you're not using your thumb, just what's being supported in your hand. Like even if you're carrying something, if you're moving from one house to another house, you got to move your bed frame or you got to move whatever it is. Your thumbs. I mean, don't get me wrong, often being used, but sometimes you're just using a supporting lift by your fingertips. So it's totally an aspect that needs to be strong. Yeah, but we don't want to contest that because people blow out their fingers. So I mean, I get it, but I think that would be one aspect that guys that just train grip sport would be could maybe get a little bit from in rock climbing. A lot of the guys that do grip though are higher body weight, so you have to be careful when you get into something like climbing when you're supporting that much just off of your fingers. But why I bring up the fact that Eve and I have done well in climbing and come into this is because it takes such a long time to actually get good at climbing and get the benefit of that open hand fingertip, that strength, I guess, that you So I don't think that it would really be that great for a guy that just is wanting to increase his grip strength for grip sport. I think it's probably not beneficial to do climbing. It just would take so long, and you'd have to lose body weight. I could be wrong, but
are you
there's
fat
a really
shaming
high
me?
risk for injury.
Yeah, Tanner says we all got dad bods.
Yeah, right.
He's fat shaming me.
I'm coming right there with you.
I'll have you know this. Jason Otto goes up the wall like a cat. Whenever we've gone rock climbing, he goes up the wall like a cat. And Jason, I love him, but he's kind of shaped like a pear.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's sleek. It's like watching a bobcat or a cougar go up the wall. I got to stop talking.
There's a lot of technique.
Yeah. What about you, Jed? You ever do any climbing?
Dude, I'm like deathly afraid of heights. Are you crazy? I don't like climbing bleachers. I don't like walking up the damn bleachers. It's crazy.
Well, the way that I've tried to overcome my fear of heights is through zip lining, and it's been somewhat helpful. But I'm not going to lie. There's been times where I've walked to the edge of that thing and thought to myself, "Oh man, what are you doing, you stupid son of a bitch?" You know what I mean?
You don't have to do,
but
you don't have to do
anything.
You just sit there.
Yeah.
You just sit there.
Like,
that's not even like you're like strapped to something.
I know. And those, they always give you that little intro to they talk about the harness. They're like, "Oh yeah, it would hold up a Volkswagen," and you're like, "Oh well, then I'm fine." You're making sense of it in your head, and then you get out to that thing, and you're like, "What if this thing doesn't hold me?" You know what I mean?
Right. What if I weigh as much as a Volkswagen?
Yeah, which I might after what Tanner said earlier. I have to get on the scale.
In my mind, you're all Volkswagens.
There it is
Even
again.
Alan? Oh.
Keeps calling us Lardass.
You would say something like that about Alan. So one of the things that I did in preparation for this was I looked up some of Tanner's records, whether he had the record now or he had the record at some point. So I want to go over a couple of these if there's no objections. Any
Sounds
objections?
Good. Nope.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So has the 2-inch crusher world record at 237 pounds. Still has that record. 2.5-inch crusher number was 5th at 230.46. 274 on the Joe, which I think is crazy because that's like one of those vertical support Luke Raymond lifts, 180 20mm black set close.
Hey James, I'm not hearing anything you're saying, dude. Like, are you like taking your mouth away from the phone or something? It's really hard to hear what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
Oh, I heard 274 in the jug, and then I didn't hear much after that. It was like all muffled.
Okay. Well, 180 20mm block set close. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's crystal clear.
255 on the little bighorn to a 6-inch crossbar, 114, over 114 on the one-hand flask, 313 on the V-bar. And then I have here that you certed the red nail in 2017, certified captains at Crush number 3 in 2018, set the record on the number 4 silver bullet just under 31 seconds. So, like, those are the things that really jumped out at me. You know, I look at something like that and I think to myself, well, what does somebody have that they haven't done at grip at this point if they've hit those sort of numbers?
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate that, James. And I mean, hearing some of those numbers is kind of funny because some of those numbers are things that I did when I first started, and I certainly can do more than that now. But, you know, I mean, notice you didn't mention any axle stuff. You didn't mention anything too heavy. So yeah. I think that's kind of where that lies, is that I just don't have much in the way of full body strength because I've never needed that before. I don't come from a strength training background as far as, you know, barbells and weights go. So there's a lot to be gained there, I think.
So is that where your focus, you think, is going to be? Is more than pulling your body weight up, it's going to be pulling things from the floor?
Yeah, I want to get my deadlift up. I mean, I wouldn't say it's going to be just like my main focus, but you know, for example, like I said before, I keep hurting myself whenever I go heavy on something. So I've just started doing like strong lifts 5x5 type of stuff, starting super, super light, just adding 5 pounds every workout, you know, squatting 3 times a week, just adding 5 pounds each time. So I'm going to keep it that, just keep it easy. And I think if I don't want to put on just a ton of body weight, but if I need to put on a couple more pounds to reach that goal, that's what I'm going to do. And I'll keep working with the inch and thick bar stuff. I'm having less and less time these days for training, so I'll probably keep pinch just maybe once a week. But yeah, thick bar and deadlifts, mostly holds with thick bar too. Just like a lot of holds, a lot of time under tension, and then getting stronger with deadlifting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I always ask this question to guests just because, you know, we get guests that come from, you know, pretty different backgrounds, and you know, you're climbing and in grip. Are there any things that you see strength-wise or even fitness-wise that just blow your mind, that just amaze you when you see someone do it?
Are you more so anything fitness related?
Yeah,
is that what you're fitness
related?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, just since I'm thinking about grip right now, everything that Yves Gravel has done is incredible. With his, sub 7-inch hands. I competed with him in Russia, and that was the first time that I'd met him. So I remember I got a climbing magazine called Urban Climber back in, I probably started getting that magazine in 2006 or 7. And I remember probably around that time, there was an article in Yves Gravel in the magazine. And I thought, I'd never heard of him before. And I thought, that guy has the biggest forearms I've ever seen. I was like, wow, it's crazy. Yeah. And so, fast forward to 2017, I start getting into grip. And I just remember thinking, man, what if that guy from that magazine a while back, what if Yves Gravel got into grip? And, come to find out, he lives just a couple minutes away from Eric Rusin, and they're able to train together. So anything he does, like when I met him in Russia, I had never met him in person before, but I didn't realize how small his hands actually were, and that's not a diss on him. It just makes it more incredible what he's done. Like his hands must be like 6.5 inches. It's insane. I'm not sure exactly. But he can lift the inch. It's unreal. And he's lifted over 400 on the axle. And it's just
nuts. Yeah.
And his deadlift is something like 480 or near 500. Actually, I think he's deadlifted over 500. And I asked him if he had like a strength training background with like deadlift, squats, barbell training, because it's taught, from my knowledge and just from looking at him and seeing his training, he does a lot of climbing. And he said, no, not particularly. He just kind of started getting into it, and next thing you know, he, in a sumo stance can pull. I have to look at my DMs, but it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 500 pounds.
It's gotta be over 3 times body weight, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, over that for sure. Yeah, he can over 3 times body weight in axle.
Yeah. Rare is the person who is gifted like that actually puts the work in too. That's cool. That's very cool.
I would say, just if I can add one other person, is this guy, do you follow this guy Slotty on Instagram? Sladi?
No.
Okay. It's like Slotty dot something. But if you either go on my Instagram and look at who I'm following, or just, type in Sladi and scroll back a ways, this dude does parkour, Ninja Warrior. He does a lot of rock climbing. And he has this one video from a couple months ago. It's maybe a few months ago. And it's like the single craziest training video I've ever seen of him doing like front levers off of like just 2 pinkies. Him doing like, I mean, he's shredded too. He has some of the craziest training. So I would add him to some fitness things I'm really impressed with. Those two just being kind of body weight guys, that just pops into my mind immediately. But he's a freak.
Reminds me of, when we had Juju Mufu on the show, one of the things that he had said was that the most impressive thing that he saw was a guy who just was like, it was his quality of movement. He did a lot of parkour stuff, and he said the guy could just like jump from like a lamp post to this wall so gracefully and land, like he was landing on a pillow kind of thing. And he was like, he just said the guy was like in his own little world, and he would just like jump and do these sort of crazy things and land perfectly every time. And he said it was impressive and annoying at the same time.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing is those guys have such high body awareness. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had that feeling since. I mean, not from that side of it, but when I was in high school, I weighed maybe 155 or something. I mean, I could do 10 one-arm pull-ups back then, and I remember I would go on the. I mean, I seriously, I remember being on the climbing wall, and I had no injuries at the time, and everything just felt completely effortless. I felt like I could just fly up the wall. I didn't have to use my feet. I didn't have anything. Everything just felt so in control. And I kind of see that on these guys that are really good at parkour. It's like their movement and body awareness is so high, and that's a really good feeling to have. Everything just feels very safe and in control. It's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I just never felt it myself. But I know exactly what you mean about that body awareness. I think that's
I bet
amazing
you probably
too.
feel something like that in arm wrestling, though, whenever your elbow doesn't hurt, your wrist doesn't hurt, and you just feel so locked in with like a hook and a top roll. It's like that muscle memory is like so familiar that you just feel like you can stomp everyone. Like it's kind of that type
I did it at a time. I did it at a time. Now that I haven't been arm wrestling, things feel a little bit disjointed. It's hard to explain, but
you get
I think you'll understand
that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. How you feel like when you've been training that, it's just sort of like it's hard to explain, but it's effortless and easy, and it's like everything just works together.
I like watching
everything
people that have that feeling. Yeah, any athlete in their respective sport that has that feeling and they're just firing on all cylinders, I think that's awesome.
I do too. I think that's probably the coolest answer that we've gotten to that question. So I thought I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So, one more question for me, because I know we're going to keep Fort Tanner here forever. You've obviously accomplished a lot in grip, and you've obviously accomplished a lot as a climber. Is there any other sort of discipline of strength or fitness that you want to get into?
Not really that I can think of. I used to tell, I guess I would still say this, if I ever got like, I let my body weight get a little bit out of control, or I got so injured in my fingers that I couldn't climb anymore, I couldn't really do grip the way that I would like. I think that if I just revamped all my training entirely, I think strongman is like the coolest sport out there. If I just put on like 70 pounds, just like I think that's a super badass thing to be good at. So like not that I would ever do it, and I'd probably be terrible at it, but just for the sake of really fun things, it looks like all those guys have such a little small like tight knit community. All the gyms that you see that all these guys train at. I like group fitness and like having all your friends doing that kind of thing. So I really like the way that strongman works in that way.
I'm with you on that. I think that I think that sometimes we underplay the camaraderie element of things like what it is that we do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Very cool. Jed, Alan, what say you?
Go ahead, Alan.
Tanner, I think it'd be great if you actually porked out a bit and never saw 83 or 93K again. Just stayed right in the 5K class. You're doing a lot of us favors. Yep.
I think you're doing a pretty good job at that. So.
Hey, Tanner.
So I didn't have a whole lot.
Tanner, are you planning on doing the Arnold in March or no?
It's like I'm saying, until my deadlift is well over 400.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier. That's why I wanted to follow up, because it kind of sounded like you were thinking about not doing it.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's in March, right?
Yeah.
It's on his calendar.
Well, I think it's actually like pretty much full. I was, kind of thinking for a while I was going to do the LA Fit Expo, but now with this whole deadlift thing, I just think it's a waste of my money to just fly out to California just to phone it in on an event. So I probably won't do that. And I was talking to Ricardo about the Arnold too, and it sounds like it's filling up pretty quick. So it'd kind of be a last minute decision for me. I don't know if Adam's going either. I actually haven't even talked to Adam about it, but I know Adam loves going into expos, so I bet Adam will go. I don't know. I say that whole deadlifting thing, but then whenever I see that all these people that are going, like I think Roman Pintowski is going. I'm trying to think of other international guys. You might know, Jed, that are going to be at the Arnold. I believe Roman is going.
Dude, I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you.
Doesn't he have the Rolling Thunder world record for like something?
Yeah, he's pulled like 270 on or something stupid like that. Yeah. He's the guy you see in the like every time you flip through like an Iron Man magazine, he is a guy with his arm like half cocked on the Rolling Thunder. He looks like he's got like 22-inch arms, like veins everywhere. It's big, freaky looking Eastern European guy.
Gotcha.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah, right. I think Alexei might be there too. So, I mean, I want to go to the most competitive contest, and I think that the Arnold is setting up to be a super competitive contest. So, Andres Brixel will be there. Remember how much he pulled on the axle last year, dude?
Oh, yeah, tons. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a new, like, slick axle, too, and he nearly broke the record. So it's like he very well could break the axle world record. And you look at how strong Carl is right now. Like, he did 455 on the blue fat grips, and, I mean, you're looking at what he's been able to do, I think, like, yesterday at Country Crush. I mean, he's doing really, really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Carl can, like, get close to an axle record. So just to go out and see some of that stuff, I'd hate to say I'm not going to do the Arnold, but I'm not sure, really, just to give you a roundabout answer there.
Yeah, no problem. Just curious. It sounded like it was up in the air at best. So that's why I wanted to swing back around to it.
It is, and I don't think there's going to be space for me. I think all the slots are kind of filling up. So yeah.
It seemed like those names sound like pretty promising, what you said, but I've also seen a ton of names of people that I have never even heard of. Like
same.
Like I don't know what the qualifications are. I just know that like the first invites were the people that competed last year. So I just figured everyone was going to go. So I just went ahead and signed up. And then I keep seeing those social media things getting shared out, and I'm like, who are these people? Like, they're just a surprise.
I thought the same thing. Some of the people I don't know, but Layton Snook was another one that I believe he's going to go. So, a lot of big names that you never know how you're going to compete against someone when it's kind of like a virtual thing like King Kong, but when it's face-to-face, same implement, same day, it's like, well, it is what it is. You know exactly how strong you are. So I would really like to see that, but it should be fun. Should be a good contest.
Yeah, cool. All right, great. Well, that was all that I had, brother. Anything else for you or James and Alan?
No.
Alan, any more nutritional advice? Any more nutritional advice?
No, I think we covered it. Yep. That'd be pretty self-serving there.
Well, Jed, did you want to talk a little gripness, or are we going to save that for another day?
I can touch on it. Real quick, man. I think the next couple shows that we have scheduled are going to be pretty packed. So, there were about 10 people. If we would have taken a group picture, I'd be able to name them all off to you, but I'll go ahead and try to say everybody. So, the standings went, that's not going to work either. Anthony Clarino, Anton Torella. There was a new guy named Martin, which I think was Vinny's buddy. Vinny Revelise was there. Andrew Sasso, myself, Timothy Butler. That's 7.
Sean Capusta didn't show up?
No Sean Capusta, no Ches.
Oh, I thought he was
no
going.
Joe Sullivan.
Okay. No Joe Sullivan.
They had no set grippers for guys like Sean and Joe.
Right. Hey.
I was looking forward to see what Joe was going to do on a no set gripper.
Joe, it was Joe's birthday. He had plans to go to New York City, I guess.
Dang. All right.
So, yeah. Hey, dude, it's just one more time where you schedule the events for people that say, you ever hold this, I'll be there, and they don't come. So it's like, no surprise there. Mike McMillan, Jeff Martin were there. That's 9. Seems like there was one more, but I'm not thinking.
Did you say Chris Andrews?
Oh,
did Chris enter?
No, Chris. No. I tried to talk him into it, and he was like, "Nah, my hands are gonna be full." So after the first event, he goes, "Somebody said something about the inch dumbbell that Chris is selling." I'm like, "Chris, you're selling your inch?" He's like, "Yeah, trying to get rid of it." I was like, "I mean, you want me to put it up on Facebook?" And
So that's what that was.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, sure, why don't you?" So I put it up on Facebook, and 2 minutes later it was sold.
Wow.
So why do you want to unload his inch?
What's that?
Why was he unloading the inch?
I think he just wanted to buy some other stuff. I know it's Christmas time and stuff, so I think he had some. Maybe he had his eyes on some other things.
Okay.
It ended up being Clint Ziegler, who competed at King Kong at my place. He only lives about an hour away from me, so I brought the inch back with me. He took care of the payment while I was there, and then he'll just come down to the gym and pick it up sometimes. So, yeah, I wasn't selling an inch. It was Chris's. But the events were table no set grippers, and then it was 2-hand pinch on the Euro, and then it was 2 3/8 1-hand nightmare, and then a medley. So I came in second on the table no set, so I trained that 4 or 5 times, and I was like, all right, that's good. It wasn't going up, so I figured I'd be lucky to close 125. I got a 129, and Vinny and Tim both got 134. I tried that and couldn't get it. It was probably 3/8 away. And then I tried dropping down to a 131, but it was way wider than the 134, and it was no way. It was no way it was getting closed. So then we did 2-hand pinch, and I think the best lift was maybe 190 or something like that. So I did. Well, it was in kilos. So whatever the lift was, I just lifted a kilo more because it was strongman scoring. So funny that I did that video on sandbagging the other day and talked about that because that's exactly what I did. But I didn't want to. I mean, I don't have any kind of delusions that the Euro won't cut you, because anything will cut you. And I was like, I'm going to do 1 more kilo and then I'm done. So I took 2 attempts and I was done, and I was unscathed. So now my training for the next 3 weeks will not be affected by some kind of a cut. So, and then the 2 3/8 1-hand nightmare went real well. It was 213 on that. So that was pretty good for me. I tore something in my left armpit. I have a picture I could show you guys sometime, but there's a bruise in my armpit. Something tore in there. So it was actually in my left armpit. It was hurting when I was lifting with my right arm. So I couldn't really do anything. It's weird. It's just a weird injury. And then the medley went real well. I won the medley, and then some other dudes did real well in the medley also. But I'm working on getting the videos uploaded, and I just basically took videos of my stuff. But
okay,
it was a good little group. There's about 10 people. There's one more person I'm not naming, and I can't seem to think who it was. But Chris did a good job. It was his first contest that he ever ran, and he had his wife Amber and son Ace there helping him out. So it went nice and smooth.
And they're somewhere in southwestern Connecticut, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in. They live in Derby, Connecticut, and then.
Oh, I used to live in Seymour, so that's Naugatuck Valley.
Where was it called? Where did you live?
Valley. I lived in Seymour, which is right next to Derby. I lived there for a little bit.
I think Seymour is where the contest was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'll pull up my Google Maps.
You got Ansonia, Seymour. It's like a time capsule. It's like,
Shelton.
all the
sorry.
kids are dressed like it's. Shelton, also Naugatuck Valley. Yeah, you got.
Yeah, it's right around through there. I mean, I drove right past the turn to get to Chris's house, so it's basically just the next town over that we were competing in. We were competing in where he works, where his full-time job is. It's called Charter Arms. They make pistols and things, firearms.
Oh.
And we were in the back garage area, so we had tons of space. It was nice and warm in there. Everything went real well.
Well, you were on the periphery of the valley. You were in Shelton. When you go a little deeper into the valley, you see IROCs with with T-tops and chicks wearing slouch socks like it's flash dance. It's like walking into 1984. It's pretty amazing. So.
Dude, I wish I would have been there. It's my favorite decade.
Yeah.
I remember the girls' hairstyles from back then with the curly perms and the bangs that were like 18 inches high, stuff like that.
That's it.
Dude.
Man. Well, it sounds like it was a good contest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, congrats on the win, Jed.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks. It was nice seeing everybody. Of course, there was Don Smitley was the last person there. That's who I forgot about.
Okay.
It's Chris's buddy. So it's been a while since I've seen him. He's had like a year of sickness and injury straight, so he hasn't been at many comps. But good time. It's nice talking smack. Like everybody's friendly and stuff, and like Anthony Clarino, I called him over. I called to him one time when he was doing something. I was like, "Hey, that's a nice shirt, bro." He's like, "Thanks, man." I go, "Yeah, they got it in your size."
Whoa, that's fighting words. Are you accusing him of wearing a medium?
Yeah, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no accusation there. I mean, if I would have looked at the tag, I'm pretty sure that's what it said. So.
All right.
His hair never moved. The whole entire competition, it never moved. I was like,
fantastic.
Dude, what do you use? What do you actually use? And he said like some words that I never heard before, so I'm gonna have to like PM him and hope he'll talk to me.
Yeah.
After all the
abuse. Alan do the pronunciation.
Yeah. But it sounded good. It definitely worked great. Better than the shit that I put in my hair. So I got a lot of people on my YouTube channel that like watching my hairstyles change and stuff like that. So
like when you bleach it during the summer? Makes your bronzing seem a little more strong?
Dude, I highlighted it this past summer. I don't know where you've been. You must not.
No, I saw that. That's what I was talking about. I thought you bleached it. I thought you were peroxiding yourself like Ponyboy.
Just the tips. Just the tips this past year. You know that game, Just the Tips?
Oh, my. Oh, my. We have taken a left-hand turn. This is great.
Yeah, as always.
Tanner, thanks for coming on again, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Good to talk to you guys.
Oh, Tanner, are you still there? I didn't know you were still there.
I am. Oh, dude.
Good to have you. Welcome aboard.
We can just run this thing again.
You could have done like a Rob Vigent where we're talking and like mid-conversation he goes, all right, well, guys, I got to go, Yeah. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. But yeah, Jed, your hair is something to envy, I will say. I was trying to grow my hair out, and I was getting weird looks from people. But I was like, you know what? I mean, it's in a transitional phase. And then my wife took a picture of me from the side the other day, And, like, I didn't realize how far back my hairline was now. And, I mean, I look like, I mean, it wasn't even forehead shining. It was like a 5-head. It was like just this big dome. And I was like, I gotta get out of this. So I just
starts looking like a peninsula up top.
Yeah, I gave up on it. It's gone.
The delta, the hair delta.
Yeah. What can you do? We can't all be Jed Johnson or Tanner Merkle, for that matter.
The only thing,
Carrot Top Pro.
I wonder what kind of grip he's got. Carrot Top.
Carrot Top. It depends on how hard he's juicing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, he's been looking like carrot juice lately.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in
He's
that
the
V8,
example of why people with red hair like don't need to be tan or like that red. You remember when he was tan? he looks freaky, dude. Like that guy was scary. Redhead people don't need to be tanning.
Joe Rogan and those guys were busting on him the other day on the podcast, and had a picture where his jeans were pulled way down to the basically the base of his penis, and Joe Rogan calls it a dick root.
Oh my god! Oh jeez!
Oh man!
Well, awesome.
That is the quote of the week. Redheaded people don't need to be tanning. That's Thank you, Tanner. That was excellent.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Well, we don't know when this will be up, Tanner, but it will be up. I just got a new laptop, so I'll be editing this, and there's a couple already in the can, and then it'll be you. So thanks for coming on with us, and maybe we'll have you on again sometime.
Yeah, man.
Good luck with your
pleasure,
deadlifting goals.
Oh yeah. I'll try.
Yay, verily. Yes.
So I'm about to go do once we get off this call, actually.
All right. Well, Alan, do your thing. Tanner's got a deadlift.
All right. Well, that's it for the latest
that's my way of
this week in grip.
Go.
Hope everybody liked it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, and we'll see you next week with another one.